Good afternoon. It is Wednesday, August 4th at about 2:45 in the afternoon. My name is Larry Cedar, and I'm here with you for another session on scanning. Scanning is the incremental release of muscular tension to achieve a deep state of physical, emotional, and mental calm. So today is the first time I'm live streaming from the actual scanning page as opposed to my personal page. Trying to move everything over here, kind of separate out this practice from my typical posts on my personal page, which are more along the lines of business promotion and so forth. Excuse me while I make a slight adjustment here. So we're just going to be scanning here from this point forward. And I do try to scan every day on my own and here in what I call these public sessions. And I do that because I feel it benefits myself, but I also do it because if you are interested in this technique and it is of value to you, if it resonates for you, then here's a place where you can come and practice with me. You can hear some advice on the technique. You can ask any questions. If you'd like to type them in, I will be happy to answer them. So this is a practice that I've been taking part in for many years. I developed it myself, but it's very similar to a lot of other practices out there. I just happen to call it scanning because it sort of identifies my specific practice, which is based on the concept that everything in the universe is either in one of two states at any given moment. Contraction, squeeze your hands together, or expansion, release. And feel that difference. Contraction, feel that squeeze, strength, restriction, but strong, and 3, 2, 1, release. We move between the states of contraction and expansion. All our life, everything in the universe, everything we participate in, everything we think, see, feel, do, build, arrange for, plan for, detest, love, is either in a state of contraction or expansion. So when you begin to look at the world that way, you can begin to see how you fit on that spectrum at any given moment in your life. Are you in a more contracted state or any more expanded state? And based on that, you can alter your state of consciousness, your very state of being. Typically, what I've found in the course of my life is that when I'm most unhappy or most afraid, fearful, rigid, in pain, uncomfortable, unhappy, is when I'm overly contracted. Overly contracted. I'm either thinking too hard, too physically restricted, been pressing too hard, holding on too tightly. And I find that if I can expand, I can relieve some of that discomfort and actually bring myself into a happier, calmer, more peaceful state. Now, what you want to achieve in life, ideally, is a balance between the two. Life is a vacillation between contraction and expansion. So what we're trying to do is move away from what we typically do 24 hours a day, which is contract, think, plan, work, constrict, exert, arrange, gather, hold, to move away from that into a more expanded state. That's why we say I need a drink, because we're looking instinctively to expand. That's why we say I need a vacation. We're looking instinctively to expand. We're too contracted. So this technique is a very simple physical way to achieve a state of expansion through the incremental release of muscular tension. It's the simplest way I have found in my life to move myself into a more expanded state. When the muscles are contracted, they are tight. When they are expanded, they are relaxed. We use the muscles to move our entire being, and that includes our consciousness, into a more expanded state because the muscles can serve as a guide. They're very simple. They can either contract or expand. So when you direct them to expand, you begin to bring your whole being into a more expanded state. This, as opposed to trying to think of a philosophy or a religion or a mental thought process, because thought in itself is contractive. So we want to move away from thought. When you're expanded, you're not thinking about anything. So let's start. The same thing is going to be done every single day. And we repeat this practice because the more you do it, the better you get at it. So if it seems tedious or repetitious, that's perfect. That's what it is. All we're doing is releasing muscular tension. So start by squeezing your hands together. That's contraction. See what that feels like. And hold that. Now I've just been talking for 5 minutes straight. Contraction, contraction, contraction. I've been putting words together, thoughts, ideas to advance an agenda. That's all well and good. But now we're going to experience the opposite. Now we're going to release muscular tension and be still and silent for 30 seconds. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, and release. That's expansion. Take a deep breath. That's expansion. Now sit for 30 seconds in absolute stillness and silence. That's expansion. Deep breath. So we just did 3 things. These are the 3 fundamental building blocks of expansion. We're not building, no, we're dissembling. Release of muscular tension, 3, 2, 1, release. Deep breath. Stillness and silence. Those are the fundamentals of scanning. And I emphasize those because it's important that you begin to understand and register the simplicity of this technique. At any given moment in your life, at any time, under any circumstances, nobody, nothing can stop you from releasing muscular tension, taking a deep breath, and sitting in stillness and silence. Nothing can stop you. There's no amount of time needed other than the 30 seconds to a minute. It's the fundamental basis of scanning. And the more you do it, the more you begin to instinctively feel and understand how it works. So let's do it again. This is what I call the preliminary phase. We've already started to let go of some muscular tension. We've taken a deep breath, something we probably haven't done much of when we were contracted, because we're holding our breath. When you're contracted, you're holding. And we sat in stillness and silence, the opposite of action and noise. Action and noise are contractions, taking action, constricting the muscles, using your body, your mind, your words to advance an agenda. We're doing the opposite. We're doing nothing. So here we go. Squeeze your hands together, tight, tight, tight. That's contraction. See what that feels like. And really squeeze tight. Contraction is a good thing as well. There's nothing wrong with contraction except when you're overly contracted or out of balance, because strength is good. A strong grip, a decisive attitude, a firm plan are excellent contractions. That's how we make our life. But as you can feel, as you hold it for more than 10, 15 seconds, it starts to hurt. You start to feel restricted. You start wishing you could let go, and you can. So we're going to now expand. 3, 2, 1, and release all the tension in your hands. See what that feels like. Drop them to your sides. Take a deep breath. 30 seconds, absolute stillness and silence. Don't move a muscle, but continue to breathe. Deep breath. Now, the wonderful thing about expansion through the technique called scanning, you can call it whatever you want. That's just what I call it, because we're scanning our body for muscular tension. The wonderful thing about scanning and expansion in particular is that you can't expand and contract at the same time. It's a beautiful phenomenon, because what that means is any amount of expansion is less contraction. Any amount of contraction is less expansion. So all you need to do to get out of a highly contracted state is start to expand. The smallest amount counts. The smallest amount of release, the smallest breath, the few moments of stillness and silence, you've started to move into a more expanded state. So it's not like you're really fighting anything. You're just deciding. You're just deciding. I'm going to stop going this way, and I'm going to start going this way. Every little bit counts. And I want to emphasize that, because if and when you begin to practice this technique, it's important to remember that no amount of time scanning is too little. The smallest amount, a breath, you've just scanned. And all we're trying to do is build that into our consciousness so that we understand that we're trying to achieve balance. We can feel when we're overly contracted. Take a deep breath, expand a little. Relax some muscles, expand a little. Sit for a moment in stillness and silence, expand a little. Bring yourself into balance. You have the power, you have the control. It's available, it's simple, it's free. Anybody can do it anytime. We're building a consciousness more than anything. Once you become aware that you have this power, that you have this choice, you already feel better, because you have an awareness of expansion, what it feels like, and you can do it anytime. You don't feel so victimized by circumstance. You know, well, yeah, I'm contracted, I'm nervous, I'm upset, I'm uptight, but I can change that anytime. Take a breath. Sit for a moment in stillness and silence, 10 seconds. I've expanded. I've reminded myself that there's another way to be. It's not just push, 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 drive, 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 hold, 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 fight, fight, fight. There's also release, let go, relax, be still, be quiet, be calm. There's that choice. So that's the preliminaries of scanning. Squeeze, release, deep breath, stillness, and silence. Squeeze, release, deep breath, stillness, and silence. Just repeat that. The further you go, the more time you take, the more expanded you will be. The choice is yours, but any amount counts. So now we go into what I call the nuts and bolts of the technique, and that's specific muscular release. Now we call this technique scanning because we're scanning the body for pockets of tension. Now we're holding, even on a subconscious level, at all times, a certain amount of muscular tension in our bodies. We're just trying to keep it together. And we feel we need to do that to survive the day, to survive our life. We can't just be a blob because then life will run us over like a tractor. We have to be prepared for whatever's coming our way. So we hold a certain amount of muscular tension. But once you've decided to expand, you're safe. Sit down in a chair. Nothing's going to happen if you take 10 minutes to let go of all this muscular tension, and you'd be surprised at how much you're holding. We aren't always aware of it, but as you start to let go, you'll see. So we work through what I call the muscular zones. I divide the body into 8 zones, and I work through my body releasing muscular tension zone by zone by zone by zone by zone. And you build a momentum till pretty soon your body gets to a point where it's starting to recognize what's going on, and it goes, wait a minute, this feels great. I'm going to go with this, and your body will just completely relax. Initially, it's always the hardest because you're holding tight. We're doing that out of fear, out of habit, out of a desire for control. So initially, you'll always experience resistance. After all these years, I still do. I always experience resistance, but you can push past that if you do it incrementally, small amounts of release of muscular tension. So here we go. Zone 1 is the face. Move your face around. So we have a lot of control over our facial muscles, just like we do our hands. So we know what it's like to contract, use the muscles, or let them go. So we're going to start there because that's a place where you're familiar with letting go of tension. Other areas might be trickier, but the face you know. So on my count, let go of all the muscular tension in your face. You ready? 3, 2, 1, and release. You feel that? You just expanded. You let go of all the muscular tension in your face that you could. Now, this could be a slight change. It could be a slight little adjustment. But if you feel it, you did it. If you feel the change, you expanded. It doesn't matter how small an amount it is. If you felt the shift, you expanded. So the face, again, 3, 2, 1, and release. You feel that drooping sensation? You just turned off the muscles in your face. You went from a contracted muscle to an expanded, relaxed muscle. So that's all we're going to do. We're going to continue that through the remaining zones of the body. That's zone 1, the face. Zone 2, the top of the head. So try to imagine those thinking muscles up there and how tense they are from just the stress of the day and the world. And on my count, let go of the smallest amount, the incremental amount of muscular tension in the top of your head. 3, 2, 1, and release. Again, 3, 2, 1, the top of the head, and release. Add that to the face. Do both together, the face and the top of the head. 3, 2, 1, and you'll notice I took a breath there. As you begin to release muscular tension, you're letting go of that grip that your mind has on your body. You're starting to send the message that it's okay to let go. It's safe. When you're tense, when you're contracted, you are holding your breath. As you begin to let go, you also let go of the breathing mechanism. Your diaphragm relaxes. You will feel an impulse to breathe because you've probably been oxygen depleted because you've been holding your breath. Now the body's getting the message, it's safe. It's safe to breathe. So you'll relax and go, whoa. And you'll find yourself doing that sometimes when you're in a tense situation. The minute it's over, you'll just take a deep breath like, whoa, that was tough because you were holding your breath. So if you feel that instinct, let it happen. Let it happen. Take as many breaths, take as moments of stillness, as many moments of stillness and silence as you feel you'd like to take. Zone 3 is the back of the head. 3, 2, 1, and release. You feel that? It's like there was a rubber band across your head, stretched across the back of your head, and then we just let it go. So all that tension in the muscles of the back of your head just released ever so slightly. The back of the head. 3, 2, 1, and release. And I snap my fingers because it's a way of saying off or release. You're directing yourself. You're going to get better and better at directing yourself, directing control over your musculature, and in particular, directing release of muscular tension. Just like this, 3, 2, 1, release. You're going to do that all through your body. Zone 4 is the neck. 3, 2, 1, and release. Let it go. And there go my shoulders, which are associated with the neck, so they'll frequently drop. As you let go of tension in your neck, you frequently feel your shoulders drop. Again, the neck. 3, 2, 1, and release. Now you feel the neck joining in with the face, the top of the head, the back of the head. This whole unit, the skull and neck, are starting to let go. Do them all at once. The face, the top of the head, the back of the head, the neck. 3, 2, 1. Let them go and release. Slide them out. Feel that change. That's all you want to do, is feel that slight shift, that slight change. Deep breath. 30 seconds, stillness and silence. Deep breath. And if you find yourself wanting to just sit still and be quiet for the remainder of the session, turn off the Facebook. You don't need me. Just enjoy that moment of peace and quiet, and stillness and silence. That's the goal. A place of stillness and silence and calm and peace. A relaxed body, a clear and empty mind. Once you're there, you don't have to do any of this anymore. Zone 5 is the shoulders. Let them drop. 3, 2, 1, and release. There they go. You feel them drop? And again, the shoulders. 3, 2, 1, and release. Deep breath. 15 seconds, stillness and silence. So that was longer than 15 seconds, and that's perfectly fine. Once you've moved into that state of stillness and silence, stay there as long as you want. I'm going to keep talking about this technique because anyone who's still interested in following the technique, but the goal, as I always like to say, is the moon. And if you can't find the moon and someone points to the moon and says, there it is, once you see it, put your hand down. You don't need to point anymore. You're there. Zone 5 was the shoulders. Zone 6 is the front of the body, the chest, the stomach, and the waist. 3, 2, 1. Let those muscles go. Slide them out and release. There they go. Feel that? For some people, this is a very frightening feeling. They don't feel safe unless they're holding on to a certain amount of muscular tension. That's their guard. That's their armor. That's their defense. So letting go can make you feel vulnerable. You might start to feel emotion. You might start to feel a little bit frightened or uncomfortable. It's okay. You're letting go. You're letting go. You're expanding. You're transitioning. I would say the transition is the hardest part. Being in an expanded state feels wonderful. Transitioning from a contracted state to an expanded state can feel scary, unsettling, disorienting. That's okay. Once you get there, you'll feel great. Zone 6, the chest, the stomach, the front of the waist. 3, 2, 1, and release. And again, the chest, stomach, front of the waist. 3, 2, 1, and release. There you go. Deep breath. 15 seconds, stillness and silence. Zone 7 is down the back and into the waist. 3, 2, 1, and release. And when I say the waist, I also mean the pelvic area. 7 down the back into the pelvic region. 3, 2, 1, and release. Now, some of these areas you might go, I don't know what that feels like. What are you talking about? How do I release the muscles in that area? That's fine. You're just starting to practice the technique. You will get better and better at focusing in on an area of your body and seeing how it feels. Then gauging, how contracted is it? How relaxed is it? Can I release a certain amount of muscular tension? Just practice. Most of us go through the day unaware of our physical being, our physical state, and by the end of the day we wonder why we're such a wreck. Well, a lot of times it's because you've accumulated muscular tension over the day in every part of your body, and it takes work. You can't contract a muscle without exerting energy. It takes energy, just like you can't run a mile unless you don't have any food, any energy in you. So you're using energy. It can be exhausting. So when you're aware of that and can feel yourself starting to get contracted over the course of a day, you can catch yourself and go, hang on, expand a little bit, balance yourself, take 30 seconds, take a breath, sit down, be still, be silent, balance. Again, the misconception is that if we let go of our contraction, we'll lose it. We'll never get it back, so we hold tight. We don't want to let go. Don't ask me to sit down. Don't ask me to be still or relaxed. Don't ask me to be quiet. If I don't keep pushing and contracting, I will lose this thing I've built. But the opposite is true. You'll not only lose it, but you'll destroy it if you keep contracting, because you'll just crush it. You want to maintain a balance of contraction and expansion. When you come to an expanded state, you're actually more capable of handling the challenges of your life. You have a clearer mind, a relaxed body, your muscles work more effectively, your thought processes are more organized and clear. Again, zone 7, down the back into the pelvis, 3, 2, 1, and release. There they go. Now let's do them all. The face, the top of the head, the back of the head, the neck, the shoulders, the chest, stomach, front of the waist, the back down into the pelvis, all together. 3, 2, 1, small amount, and release. Deep breath. 15 seconds, stillness and silence. Now, I can always tell when I've started to expand because I'm enjoying the moments of stillness and silence more than the talking or the teaching. That, again, is the goal. Sometimes I expand so deeply I forget where I am or why I'm here. I've dropped all consciousness of any sort of definitions of my circumstances. As in, my name is Larry. I'm sitting in my office. I'm live streaming. I'm doing something called scanning. I gave it a name, scanning. There's a technique. There's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 steps. I'm explaining them. All of that goes away when you're expanded. None of that matters. You come back to what I call your original self, a person that has no definitions. Nothing's defined. Everything just is. It's a very still, quiet, calm place. It's a wonderful place to be because you're back to zero. You're back at the starting point. You're in a neutral position. From there, you can go anywhere you want. Zone 8 is down the legs, across the knees, and into the feet. Think about your feet for a second. Focus on your feet. If you feel a slight throbbing, that's good. That means you've directed your energy to your feet. And on my count, I want you to release the smallest amount of tension in your feet. 3, 2, 1, and let them go. Again, the feet. 3, 2, 1. Feel it and let it go. There you go. You just relaxed your feet. So relaxing the feet can be really scary because at any given moment I have to stand up and go somewhere, run. My feet always want to be on alert, on prepared. If they're completely relaxed, if you've ever had your foot fall asleep, you know when you go to stand up it doesn't work, and you go, well, I got to be ready. Well, you're sitting in a chair, you're not going anywhere, so just relax. Just relax. Let your feet. You can take a couple seconds to get it back together, but now you're taking it apart. The feet. 3, 2, 1, and release. There you go. So now you've released muscular tension in 8 zones. The face, let it go. The top of the head, let it go. The back of the head, let it go. The neck, let it go. The shoulders, let them drop. 3, 2, 1, and the stomach, the chest, the stomach, the front of the waist, just let it relax. 3, 2, 1, and zone 7, down the back into the pelvis region. 3, 2, 1, just let go. And down the legs, across the knees, and into the feet. 3, 2, 1, and release. Deep breath. Another. One more. 60 seconds, absolute stillness and silence. Deep breath. So I like to gauge where I'm at in terms of contraction expansion, just to kind of see where I'm going. And again, no amount of shift is too small. So if I started out, let's say today at a 9, let's say I was fairly contracted. I've had a whole half a day to think about things, to be on my computer, to be on the phone, to be doing work, managing finances, projects. And so I was pretty contracted. I would say I was at about a 9. And now, after about 20, 25 minutes of scanning, I would say I am at a 6. I feel much more still. I feel zero compulsion at this moment to do or say anything other than finish this session. I can't really remember what I was worried about 20 minutes ago. That's left my mind, so I've cleared my mind. I've come to a place of stillness and quiet where I feel very comfortable just sitting and doing absolutely nothing. And that's the goal, to visit that place, as I like to say, at least a couple of times a day. Now I try to scan 1 hour, if possible 2 hours a day. Sometimes I do that first thing in the morning before I get out of bed. Sometimes I do it in the middle of the day. Sometimes I do it at night when I'm trying to get to sleep. Sometimes I do it in the middle of the night. And I keep a log because I try to motivate myself to do at least an hour a day, and if possible 2. Because I know that the more I actively practice this technique, the more familiar it becomes to me, the more of a consciousness I build of the value of scanning, in particular the value of expansion, and the more motivated I am to practice. But for purposes of these sessions, all I'm trying to convey to you is an understanding of how it works. And if that is of value to you, I'm happy to have you here. I try to come here at least once a day to do what I call a public session. I do basically the same thing as I do on my own, but I do it and I speak about it so that if you have any questions, feel free to type them in, or you can just use these sessions as a guide to start to develop the practice yourself. And that's it. I'll be doing it only here now on the scanning page. I'll make announcements about them on my personal page. But from this point forward, I'll just be doing scanning on my Facebook scanning page. Like and follow the page if you want alerts when I'm starting a session. But if you miss any or all of a session, I will always repost that session on the scanning page in its entirety. So if you wish to review this or other sessions, I welcome you to do so. Again, it's called scanning. It's the incremental release of muscular tension to achieve a deep state of physical, emotional, and mental calm. It's a very simple process. All we're doing is releasing muscular tension, tiny amounts, incrementally, gradually, cumulatively, to move yourself into a more expanded, relaxed, calm, peaceful place, at least, as I say, a couple of times a day. So that's it. Thanks for visiting. I always end every session with Rule 1. Rule number 1 is love yourself. Love is the most expansive action in the universe. When you love, you open yourself up and make yourself available to what is. And this is you. This is what you've got. This is all you were given. So start here. Love everything about yourself, even the parts you're not crazy about. Love them. Embrace yourself. Accept, open up, make yourself available and expanded to all that you are. To be expanded is in a permeable state. That means we can come together with others. That means including coming together with ourselves, all the parts of ourselves. When you're contracted, you're solid, and you slam up against yourself and others, and that's a state of conflict. So love yourself. And when you love yourself so much that you feel like you have an abundance of love, take the excess and pass it around to everyone else, because the world could sure use it. Thanks a lot. Take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.